the intellectual dark web. They engage in conversations only in the reality that is dictated by the mainstream media. And they don't want to, you know, they touch the edges of that bubble, but they don't actually come out of that bubble. And that's why I think they're CIA. About actually doing some sort of a vlog in terms of like just, you know, just the social, just the society that we live in, you know, because I got opinions, you know, I got things to say, I got thoughts. Jesus Christ, yeah, modern day philosopher riding a motorcycle, yeah. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna talk some shit. But I was listening to Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and it kind of got me onto thinking about the fact that Jordan Peterson was talking about Sam Harris. Sam Harris is this modern day philosopher, kind of like what, you know, people like to follow to see what's going on, like something non-nonsense, you know, type of approach, like to see what's going on and how to think. And what's been happening lately is a cop is pulling out. No, good. I listened to their whole entire hour conversation of them talking about the nature of truth. And honestly, it's like, now you don't have to. You know, I've listened to that conversation, so you don't have to. And this is what I understood from it. I'm skeptical. You know, I'm skeptical about who they are, why they're out there talking, and of course they're out there talking for the money. Nobody's doing anything for the Lambo. They're trying to make money. That's why they're out there. And when they engage in conversations, this is what I realized. They're actually, and you could hear it in that conversation when they talk about truth. They're only engaging, like they're like, well, what is this truth? No, the truth that they're talking about is the frame of reference that our society is built upon. The truth is the frame of reference that our society is built upon. So what they call truth is how our society sees facts. And by facts, I mean, well, facts is true. Not necessarily. Because when the government tells us something is true, we must accept it as true. Otherwise, we're conspiracy theorists. And we are crazy lunatics, and we don't deserve to have our opinions be heard, right? Correct. Let's proceed. Then maybe Jordan Peterson was touching up, like, well, maybe what we know as true might not necessarily be true. What we know as true in society might not necessarily be correct. I mean, think about it. In our early versions of the Iraq War, Osama bin Laden, you know, I mean, Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And then we kind of like, well, maybe he didn't, but he had the capabilities. So what we knew in the beginning was true, then later is not true. So what did we learn from that? The truth changed. The frame of reference changed. So how do we bring that back in? So what Sam Harris says, we have this bubble that we are in, and we can only scratch the surface of the bubble. And as soon as we come out of that bubble, we are no longer coherent. We can no longer make sense, because what we are arguing about outside the bubble is not necessarily our perspective, that we define it as a society. So what the hell am I talking about? Okay, so we have history, right? And history is written by the winner. Whoever wins the war writes the history of the losing opponent, right? And that's been happening since Napoleon was the one that said it. But that's been happening for thousands of years. You know, the winner determines who writes the history. Nobody's gonna go ahead and say, like, well, I was the guy on the bad side. I was the bad side guy. You know. Let's do a little wave. Nice, very nice. How much? What kind of bikes are those? Pretty sweet motorcycles. Yeah, these are like GS. Is that a GS? Nice. I like it. I enjoy that one. Look like a girl. White helmet. Usually white helmet means girl. Nice. 650? Yeah, looks like a 650. What they were really debating about on the nature of truth is the whole argument was we cannot get outside of this bubble that we are in, that we as a society agree upon, and the bubble that we agree upon is just this collection of lies that we accept as truth in order to make sense of the world around us. You know, this is happening because of this. Meanwhile, both this is happening and because of this are both lies. Nothing is happening, and that which it happens because of is not real either. And if you dismiss either one of those things, you're crazy, right? So, how am I talking about? Well, let's go back to those weapons of mass destruction, right? Since we said, like, later on, there is no weapons of mass destruction, it's like, well, hold up a second, so what does that mean? Well, they have the capabilities of having those weapons. Okay, fine. So we kind of take it down a notch. Well, if we were to go ahead and say he had the capabilities back then, in 2002 or 2003, if we were to go ahead and say if he had the capabilities of to make nuclear weapon, but he doesn't actually have them, would we have gone to war? Probably not. Maybe less so. Maybe there would have been less of a reason to go to war, right? So then the outcome would have changed. The outcome of the whole history would change. The whole history would be different. You know, we wouldn't have to bomb innocent people and like whatever. And then, you know, predator drone strike in Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iraqistan. Like all of those things wouldn't have to happen. You know, same thing with Osama bin Laden. We say, well, he's hiding in Pakistan. He's hiding in super caves. He's doing this. He's doing, you know. It's like there's no way we can do anything about him. He's evading us here. He's evading us there. You know, we got a drone strike. We got a drone strike Iraq. We got a drone strike Afghanistan. We got a drone strike Pakistan, and then whatever the stand that is that comes in between. And people said, okay, whatever. And then we all paid our tax dollars and supplied the army with those weapons. And we all kind of like guilty there. You know, collectively, even though we had no say, all of us were sort of guilty in that respect. That we paid our taxes that went into manufacturing the bombs and everything that killed innocent people. But since we had no say, we kind of like close our eyes and say, all right, okay, whatever. It's kind of like us eating meat. You know, we all eat meat, but we don't actually kill the animals that produce the meat, right? We all eat meat, but we don't actually kill the animals, so we don't actually feel the, you know, we have a distance from the killing factor of those animals. You know, it's normal to us. Eating meat is normal. Look at that sunset, huh? Beautiful. I feel like when I ride here, I feel like I'm Tom Cruise. Riding a motorcycle and the jet is like taking off. So what does that mean? What does that mean for Sam Harris, and what does that mean for Jordan Peterson? Well, it means that they are only participating in conversations that are inside the truth bubble that we have in our society that we declare to be our truth. Another guy? Maybe. There's gonna be a cop. Yeah, so they really only participate in these conversations, in the conversations that take place inside our social bubble. How many times you have to say the same thing over and over? Jesus Christ! All right, fine. I'm not gonna. Yeah, there was a cop there before, but he's gone.
Yeah, thanks for telling me, man.
Yeah.
I got a ticket here once.
Honestly, like the people that ride smaller bikes, they tend to be more, you know, less cocky. You know, because you typically start out with a small bike. Like let's say your personality, the way your personality is, you start out with a smaller bike so you can then upgrade. You know, and you kind of like slowly get up to. You know, know, you slowly get up to like a big boy bike level. You upgrade, you go slow, you know, you don't really have anything to prove. The guy that get like big bikes right away, they're always like, it's this machismo, you know, like this they think like, oh, I'm manlier than you, you know. I can get a bigger bike, I gotta be faster than you. It's this competition, a constant competition. And you know, I don't know, maybe it makes sense to some degree, but I just think like if you're on a bike already, you're already pretty damn cool, you know. Like riding is it's already cool, you know. Why you gotta like elevate it to like let's street race on it now, you know. However, sometimes you got a street race, you know. Where were we? Jesus Christ! Can you finish the goddamn conversation? Oh, first gear is so choppy. Wow, really choppy gear. Really like let go and it just pulls you down. So can you finish the goddamn story? Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, and they call it like the intellectual dark web. They all participate in these podcasts together, and it's like Brett Weinstein, his brother, Ben Shapiro, Ruben Report, and they all go to Joe Rogan's podcast every once in a while. Yeah, let's put them together into one pile and call them these people. But I think that what the gist of it was is that Sam Harris was saying to Jordan Peterson, we have to engage in these conversations in the frame of reference of our society, of what we ultimately agree as truth. It's what we ultimately agree truth to be. So if we have something that we don't agree it to be as truth, we cannot engage in those conversations even because they're outside of this bubble that we cannot have to have our conversations to be in. What I'm trying to get to is that there's a lot more lies out there than there are truths, and to be engaging in conversations that involve lies in them is very disingenuous. We have to accept certain things as lies. We have to accept certain things for what they are. Maybe this is not the truth. So when we're speaking about current events, or like this crisis here, crisis there, it's like, well, we have to understand what this crisis is, and we cannot take what CNN tells us this crisis is. We cannot accept the mainstream narrative of the crisis and then come up with solutions for the crisis, because we may not understand what the actual crisis is. What I'm trying to say is, like, let's say you have some sort of event happening, and now you have to mitigate this event. You better damn sure to be that this event is actually happening. But we, in today's society, we cannot. And that's what I disagree with. That's what I disagree with Sam Harris. He will not bring up alternative views of history, and he will not think that there might be an alternative history in our current time. Like the history of modern day society is based on lies. Jesus Christ. Well, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, why would he do that? Pulled over for the fire truck. And he's got a, alright, Adidas 3 Poloski. So what are you trying to say? Well, okay. All I'm trying to say is they engage in conversations within the lines of our mainstream media. And they don't want to criticize the mainstream narrative. And they only criticize the thought of the mainstream narrative. Never actually bringing up that, hey, maybe that's not actually true. Who's that? What's up? Been a while. So an old writing buddy. You know, like everybody kind of like just, you know, knows a little bit. knows a little bit of everybody, like you know, around the neighborhood. Kind of, just you know, I see him around, so I'll say hi. Is it safe to ride during a pandemic? I think so. You know, I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel like it was safe. You know, right? I always show like with a finger that I'm gonna, you know, make a turn or do whatever. Wow, clear visor is such a game changer at night. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking before. I was thinking like, I'm getting blinded by the car's headlights and things and blah blah. And I'm just dumb. You know, this is so much nicer. That's what I wanted to say, pretty much. The intellectual dark web, they engage in conversations only in the reality that is dictated by the mainstream media. And they don't want to, you know, they touch the edges of that bubble, but they don't actually come out of that bubble. And that's why I think they're CIA.